Uh, had to be around 1963, 64. The incident at the social studies class where the teacher had tore my daughter's paper and told her to start again was what got Sofia involved with the school. And we went and spoke to the administration. Bad principal, no results. And then we had a meeting with the social studies teacher that had torn my daughter's paper. It was Sofia Mendoza, Hirch, Mr. Montgomery, and myself. And Fred and Sophie were doing most of the talking. And the teacher got indignant and he says, why are you meddling with this case? Where's the parent? And I say, I'm right here, you mother. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you ever touch my daughter or her work again, I'm going to... And he turned pale white. He became one of my daughter's best teachers after that incident. And then we started working on removing the principal from that school. Between the work that we did with Sofia, Fred, Hirsch, quite a few other people, we were able to get Downing to remove that principal, and in his place we got what I think is one of the most excellent principals that ever graced San Jose Unified, and that was Dan Jackson. You remember him? Dan died too, didn't he? Yeah. Dan Jackson whipped everybody into shape, and Roosevelt probably became the best school for scholastic achievement of the junior highs we had in San Jose Unified at the time. We worked very close with Dan, and Dan was excellent at holding community meetings where literally couple hundred people would show up, and the discussions took place on what was going good, what wasn't going so good, and what was going bad, and the improvement in the treatment of the students was like day and night. The work that we did after that with San Jose High School was a little bit easier. Now we had Principal Peter Mesa, who unfortunately also just passed away. And he was a strong principal, very disciplined, and easy to work with when we were talking the duties that belonged to him in that school. He had a way of keeping his teachers on a straight and narrow, and San Jose High School, for that period at least, was a very good school.
This was in about what year?
That was 1954. 53, 54.
No, you're in the 60s.
No, 63, 64.
Okay. Anyway, you were saying.
What I said about Pete Mesa and the fact that he was a very excellent principal for that school at the time, and he was the one that had the policy changed so that kids at lunchtime could not leave the school grounds, which helped tremendously in that's when so much of the difficulties would happen, when these kids were allowed to get out for an hour for lunch, and a lot of rowdyism. When he stopped it, there were a few people that were upset, But most of us thought that it was an excellent idea. Keeping the kids right at school for the lunch period and then going back to class prevented the hooliganism that would take place when they weren't there. Those were easy years, Mon, at Roosevelt and San Jose High. And then we did quite a bit of work with another bad principal at Peter Burnett and got him replaced. I can't remember his name, but every time he made a presentation, he'd faint. The question.
Jack, you said you went to work for Charles Knight at San Jose Unified in 71. Tell me about the time you spent there.
1971. At the time, Jose Carrasco was there, who's a dear personal friend and a very sharp educator. He's got a doctorate in English from Stanford. Jose Villa was there. He had a master's in social work. And myself. Charles Knight was a very capable, very intelligent superintendent, probably one of the best we've had in that school district. And we worked with him initially for making sure that the hiring of Chicano teachers took place in the schools that we were working with at the time on the east side. Selma Olinder School, Horace Mann, and downtown at Gardner and Washington School, and we had some involvement with Ann Darling. All of them had large Chicano student population, and scholastic achievement, as you compared it with the other schools in other districts, was way low. They had 6th graders reading at the 3rd grade level. Jose Carrasco and Jose Villa, and the meetings we had with the superintendent and the school board improved that tremendously from the standpoint that Superintendent Knight then made the changes that were needed so that principals and teachers in those schools changed to the plan that was provided by the central office. And the improvement was immediate and it was good. In a couple years, most of those children in those schools were up to the level that they needed to be in scholastic achievement. We were instrumental also in making sure not only that the hiring of Chicano teachers took place in those schools, but that the curriculum made some sense, and that the monolingual children that could only speak Spanish would receive more help than just being sat in the back of the class and having to go for lunch. It's funny, I went to Gardner School one day when I was working for him, and I interviewed a 7-year-old from Washington School, and they were at the recess. And I says, how do you like your school? And he just looked at me with a little chicanito, maybe 7 or 8 years old. And recognizing that he didn't understand English, I changed to Spanish. And I said, ¿Cómo te gusta esta escuela? His response amazed me in that he said, as young as he was, no, la escuela está buena, me gusta mucho, pero no entiendo yo mucho de lo que están diciendo y nadie me quiere traducir. Cuando salimos a jugar, tenemos más oportunidad de hablar uno con otro que no entendemos el inglés, pero quisiera que yo tuviera a alguien en la clase que me estuviera explicando de qué está hablando la maestra. That intelligent. And you almost gulp when you see something that intelligent being neglected because you don't know English. And so a lot of the improvement that took place was hiring bilingual teachers so that they could explain to the children in English, which is a prominent language, but also take some time to explain in Spanish to the kids that were learning English. And you could see right away that the monolingual children that had a bilingual teacher learned English much faster than they had when they were just relegated to the back desk in the room. That was an improvement also that Charles Knight brought about because of the hiring that he did. And there was some very good interviews taking place that got us the best of the best. We were involved also in the acquisition of land for the replacement of Olinder School from 24th and Santa Clara to the start of the park chain at William Street Park. That was also done by Charles Knight with the help of Norma Mineta, who was then mayor. I helped write the ballot to change 10.2 acres of Roosevelt property and change it into a park belonging to San Jose City in exchange for 10.2 acres of parkland that was the city's to San Jose Unified School District for the building of Olinder. And right where I told Charles Knight that that ballpark could best be replaced by a school is exactly where the school is right now. And it's a very good school.
What was the land exchange in exchange for what?
10.2 acres of Roosevelt property on Santa Clara Street in exchange for 10.2 acres of William Street Park on William Street. And then Charles Knight was quick to acquire the resources that were needed to build Olinder School. And it's in a very nice setting, like Jose Villa explained to me one time. He said, you know, this school has got a good aesthetic milieu, whatever that means.